Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Claire sees Kyle's dark side, trouble on the horizon. The Young and the Restless spoilers show that Claire Grace, Haley Aaron, and Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, have been hitting it off recently and look to be the next famed couple on the show. Of course, this has eaten at Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, the entire time, and she can't believe that Kyle and Claire are getting this close. We've known Kyle and Summer together for a long time, and it's been a dramatic shift for the characters and audience alike to see them with other people. Sure, there have been moments in their relationship where they had cheated or had flings, but nothing like this, especially with Harrison Abbott, Redding Munsell, in the mix now. They've been in the honeymoon stage of their relationship, and Claire and Kyle have shared nothing but nice moments and sweet nothings. However, Claire may be getting her first taste of Kyle's dark side, or as many call it, his true self. There's no denying that Kyle has always had this side to him, but seeing it for the first time may push Claire away. Kyle will have a confrontation with Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, whom he also had a fling with just a few short months ago. Kyle will explain that he cancelled Audra's order to a supplier, and she will have to present Victor Newman, Eric Brighton, empty-handed. This will cause a fuss, and Claire will sit by idly seeing a side of Kyle she never knew before. Will seeing this side of Kyle be a bit too much for Claire, especially considering what she was put through with Jordan, Colleen Zank, or will she admire Kyle's ruthlessness and ability to get under the competition's skin? Maybe a bit of both. Seeing Kyle in his natural habitat may show Claire that he's normal, and while he's been playing the nice guy, will actually stand up for her and lay down the law when needed. We just hope that it doesn't trigger anything from her past to go off in her head. What do you think? Are you a fan of Claire and Kyle together, and are you looking forward to their potential future together? Share your thoughts and remember to keep watching the CBS soap to see what happens next. In the world of Geno City, secrets are never buried for long and power struggles often emerge from the shadows. The lives of the Newmans, Abbotts, and other high-profile families are constantly swirling in a storm of lies, deception, and treachery. But every now and then, something truly unexpected surfaces, something that shifts the delicate balance. Claire, the newest addition to the bustling city of corporate and romantic entanglements, is about to learn this the hard way. Claire had arrived in Geno City with hopes of creating a fresh start. Her past was one filled with intrigue and ambition, but here she wanted something new. A place to belong, and perhaps a love she could truly call her own. She hadn't expected to find herself captivated by Kyle Abbott, one of the city's most eligible and influential bachelors. At first, he seemed like the perfect man, charming, intelligent, and above all, a devoted father to his young son Harrison. But as they grew closer, Claire began to see a different side of Kyle, a side that was darker and more complex than she ever imagined. Their connection had been fast and electric. Claire had initially met Kyle during a family event hosted by the Abbotts. She had been a guest of Nikki Newman, who was considering Claire for a key position in the Newman corporate empire. Her sharp wit and confidence had impressed many, but it was Kyle who had been drawn to her most. The conversations had quickly turned personal, and within weeks, they were spending more time together than either had expected. But there was an edge to Kyle, something unsettling beneath the surface. It started with small things. His smile didn't always reach his eyes when they were alone, and the way he talked about his family often hinted at tension. At first, Claire brushed it off, attributing his demeanor to the pressures of his high-powered job and the complex dynamics of his family. After all, being an Abbott came with heavy expectations, and with the looming pressure of his contentious relationships with both his father, Jack, and his estranged wife, Summer, it wasn't unusual for Kyle to be on edge. Still, something felt off. One evening, after dinner at Society, Claire found herself on a long walk with Kyle through the park. The conversation turned toward Harrison, Kyle's son, and his ongoing custody battle with Summer. Claire could see the anguish in Kyle's eyes as he spoke about the toll the fight was taking on him. Yet there was something in the way he talked about Summer that made Claire's heart skip a beat. But not in a good way. Kyle's voice had become cold, calculated. He spoke of Summer not as the woman he once loved, but as an obstacle in his life, a hurdle he needed to clear. "She's made things difficult for too long," Kyle had muttered under his breath, his gaze darkening. Claire, uncomfortable with the shift in tone, tried to change the subject, but Kyle wasn't done. If she thinks she can keep Harrison from me, she's got another thing coming. It wasn't just the words, it was the way he said them. The casual cruelty in his voice sent a chill down Claire's spine. As the weeks went by, more of Kyle's temper began to surface. Claire witnessed him snap at employees in the Jabat office, his usual composed demeanor cracking under the weight of stress. She knew family business had always been a source of friction for Kyle, but the ruthlessness she saw in him now was new and disturbing. Claire wasn't the only one to notice. Jack had expressed concern, pulling Claire aside after a tense board meeting. "Kyle isn't himself these days," Jack had confided. "There's a lot going on, and I'm afraid he's letting his darker instincts take over." "I've seen this before, but it's worse now." Jack had paused, searching Claire's face for some sign that she understood. "I care about my son, but I'm worried about the direction he's heading in." Claire had nodded, her stomach knotting with unease. She had tried to tell herself that Kyle was just going through a rough patch, but now it was becoming harder to ignore the red flags. The turning point came one night at the Abbott mansion. Claire had gone over for what she thought would be a quiet evening. Kyle had been agitated all day, talking nonstop about the latest developments in his custody case with Summer. When she arrived, she found Kyle drinking heavily, a half-empty bottle of bourbon on the table beside him. "I can't lose Harrison," Kyle had slurred, his eyes blazing with a mix of anger and desperation. "Summer thinks she can control everything, my life, my son's life, but she's wrong. I'll do whatever it takes to win." Claire had tried to calm him down, but it was no use. Kyle's temper flared, and before she knew it, he was ranting about taking drastic measures. "If I have to, I'll destroy her," he spat, his voice venomous. "I'll ruin everything she cares about if she keeps pushing me." Horrified, Claire realized this wasn't just a man venting his frustrations, this was something darker, more dangerous. Kyle's obsession with winning at all costs was consuming him, and Claire knew she had to confront him about it. "Kyle, you're scaring me," she said softly, trying to reach the man she had once believed was kind and noble. "This isn't you. You're better than this." But Kyle wasn't listening. His eyes were wild, his thoughts scattered. "You don't understand," he snapped. "No one does. I have to protect my son." Claire knew then that she was seeing a side of Kyle that few had ever witnessed. A side that was willing to cross lines no one should. It was as if the weight of his legacy, the pressure of his family, and the bitter custody battle had warped him into someone unrecognizable. She left the mansion that night, her mind racing. She cared for Kyle, but this was too much. The man she thought she knew was slipping away, and she didn't know how to bring him back. Worse, she wasn't sure she wanted to. Trouble was brewing on the horizon, and Claire couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to get much worse before they got better. Kyle Abbott's dark side had been unleashed, and Geno City was in for a storm like no other.